Hello, welcome to the channel, welcome to the Armchair Demon. So this is one of the first videos. So yeah, I've been reading like crazy recently. I've got a small library at home. You probably can see in the background here. I've got books dotted all over the house. Basically, I don't use a Kindle. So because of that, I've got to keep putting shelves up to put my books on. I like a physical book. I'm old school. I like a physical book to hold and read, take on holiday with me. And basically, when I've read a book, I put it up on the shelf there as like a trophy. And before I know it, I've got loads of trophies all around the house of what I've read. So my bookshelves there, I've kind of half read them, half not, but I like the concept of that. So you know, once I'm reading a book and I look on my shelf and I can see other books, I can plan, you know, when I'm going to read that book. So that's how I like it. Yeah, I don't use a Kindle at all. So yeah, so the channel, I will not be using a Kindle. It's purely physical books, and that's the way it's going to go. So yeah, so the books, I've been reading a handful of books. I've been going mad at it recently. I'll just talk about this one first. Mark Fisher, Ghosts of My Life. So yeah, I kind of like this. Writings on depression, hauntology, and lost futures. And what he's kind of getting at is, I can explain it. Well, he gives a really good example in the book. Say, for example, music. In the 90s, fantastic decade for music. Now, if you got a track from the 90s, a music track, and you sent that back into time to the 80s, you said, you know, check this out. You know, they think, wow, this is, I don't think I can quite understand it there, but wow, that's out there, that's brilliant. And if you sent an 80s track back in time to the 70s, then more or less that's the kind of, you know, vibe that had happened there. They'd be quite amazed maybe. You know, they'd scratch their heads a little bit, but, you know, they'd recognise there's something there of some kind of progression and some kind of excitement going on. But what he's getting at is if we now send a music track, when I'm recording this is 2023, so if you're a muso, you probably understand where I'm coming from here. There's nothing much really happening in music. So if we sent a track back in time now to the 90s, I don't think there'd be much effect. I think we'd be greeted with silence and tumbleweeds. And that's what he's getting at. It's as if like, you know, there's no future anymore. We've got lost futures. You know, all those decades ago, everything was building up to something. And now all of a sudden, it just feels void and empty in a way. And that's kind of what he's getting at. It's like something happening. I mean, I've experienced this myself with music. Back in the day in the 90s, I used to be very much into Warp Records, you know, into that label there. And at the time in the 90s, very exciting stuff, especially in electronic music. So I used to listen to the Black Dog and Boards of Canada and B12, and Warp have got this excellent artificial intelligence series, which were very popular back in the day there. So, you know, you come back from a club, you know, you relax, listen to this music. It wasn't thumping music, but, you know, it was like very good, futuristic. The sounds were, you know, absolutely fantastic. And it was quite exciting because, you know, you'd think, wow, what's music going to be like, you know, in the future if this is to go by? But, you know, everything's kind of stood still now. And also, I mean, this book kind of explores everything in that kind of realm, and it also touches on architecture and film, music, everything really. And I kind of like, I know what he's on about because I experienced it the other day. I was walking up to the Barbican Centre and I got off at Fenchurch Street station and walked up through the city up to the Barbican. And as you do when you're walking there, your head's in the clouds and you start thinking. And I thought back to the 80s and how excited and bright everything seemed. And it seemed like, you know, future were going to be like really amazing. I can't explain it. You know, you probably know what I'm on about. But it was so vibrant and, you know, with music, film, everything. it felt like it were going somewhere. And as I was walking up to Barbican Centre, everything felt, I don't know if it's like an age thing, like nostalgia thing, but everything just felt like a copy of a copy, like a Xerox machine. It kind of Xeroxed the day. It was like bright and sunny, but it didn't feel like back in the 80s. And then obviously I got to the Barbican Centre, and that's pure brutalism in its architecture there. And as I got there, all storm clouds started to appear, and it started to rain, and it really fitted in with the mood. And yeah, and this is it kind of explores that thing, but on many different spectrums, so it's really worth a read. It'll get you thinking. Now, unfortunately, Mark Fisher is no longer with us. I can't obviously say the word on the channel because the algorithms will probably pick it up, but all I'll say is, it was a big S, and that's all I'm going to say. So yeah, really, really interesting book. Is quite left views, I suppose, but I don't let politics, get in the way of things there. I like to, explore different thought processes, and yeah, I really enjoyed this. I want to give this a 9 out of 10, and I'm very interested into reading his other stuff there. So yeah, that was good. Now the next one I'm going to explore is Retromania, and I came by this book by accident actually, and I think that's going to fit in very well with this. It's going to explore, these themes. So I'll be reading this soon. And the book I've just finished is Justin Cronin, The Ferryman. Now I got this from Waterstones a couple of months ago, and if you go into Waterstones now for a hardback copy there, they seem to be signed by the author. So yeah, so I picked it up there, and I've just finished this one also. I quite liked it. It's a sci-fi element to it. Very attractive book. Look at the beautiful colours. It's all like spray painted. But like I know they say, a cover doesn't prove anything about a book, but I like a good cover. So that's like really, really nice. So I'll just explain a little bit about it. So I'll just read the blurb inside. So the islands of Prospera lie in a vast ocean in splendid isolation from the rest of humanity, or whatever remains of it. Citizens of the main island enjoy privileged lives, attended to by the support staff, who live on a cramped neighbouring island where whispers begin to grow into cries for revolution. Meanwhile, life for Prosperans is perfection, and when it's not, their bodies are sent to the mysterious third island, a facility named the Nursery, to be rebooted and to restart life afresh. So Proctor Bennett is a ferryman who shepherds a soon-to-be retired into the unknown. He never questioned his work until the day he was delivered a cryptic message: the world is not the world. So yeah, I kind of enjoyed this. It's about 539 pages long. So it took me about 2 weeks to read it. I haven't had much time recently. I try and hammer a book every week. But obviously got things to do. I'd love to read all day, but yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I think 100 pages of it, a little bit too long maybe. But it felt like a really personal book to the author. There's a lot of things there about family. And it is sci-fi. And the ending there, when things are revealed, they kind of push the envelope out there. You might get a surprise, but because I read so much sci-fi, I kind of guessed what were happening halfway through, basically. So yeah, because I read so much sci-fi, I just kind of guessed it. But that's the thing with sci-fi. I always feel like it's limited in a way. It's got potential to push really, out there, hasn't it? Sci-fi. But sometimes at the end of the day, it's just about space travel, alien invasions, or people in simulations when they don't know they're in a simulation. And that's just a very small example of what I mean. So I'm always searching for like a perfect sci-fi book. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I'll give that 7 out of 10. So yeah, I've read that. That's going back on the shelf now. A couple of other books of interest which I'm looking into at the minute. while we're exploring these kind of themes, I'm going to give this a shot. Never had it so good. It's a complete massive tome of a book, I suppose. It's all about the 60s. I'm a 70s child. I was born in the 70s, but my parents have told me about the 60s, how good it was. So I'm interested in, reading a little bit about that, finding out exactly what went on there. Because I think if we all lived in the 60s, we'd be having a much better time than we all now. And a bit of a heavy one. History of Christianity. Now, I am not religious at all, so if you are, do forgive me. But I think this is worth a read because it explains everything about life from the past and where we are to today. Because obviously, Christianity and religion is a code of life there. So I'm going to give this a read, but I'm not religious in any way. But I think you should expand your horizons there, and read as much as you can about different things, no matter what age you are. So yeah, that's the first video. I've been chuntering on a little bit there. We will be doing some film reviews soon. Yeah, so what I like to do is, with a film review, I like to make sure my night is free, switch my phone off, and I have a bottle of wine, bottle of white wine, and I drink that bottle, and that's my way of doing things. I don't know why. White wine, it makes me see through time. So when I watch a film, I don't know why, I kind of like go an extra level into it, and I kind of recognize more things, what people are trying to say. It's not drunkenness, but I kind of get the vibes more. So I always hit the wine, bottle of wine, nothing more, nothing less. Watch a film while I'm drinking that wine, and then make some notes, what interests me. So we'll be doing some film reviews soon. So yeah, stay tuned. So this is one of the first videos. So do subscribe, like it. Let's show them algorithms that we're here. So yeah, so I'll be cooking up some more videos shortly and uploading. So yeah, stay tuned. More to come. I'll be seeing you on the next videos. All right. See you later.